And so this is one of the things that you like to see in communities. When communities own businesses, you know what I'm saying, and people live still within the community, and that community can generate, economic base. And this is one of the things that you like to see replicated throughout the city, where there's small mom and pop businesses, because those small mom and pop businesses, which already exist in a large number, but supporting those small mom and pop businesses supports the economy of the neighborhood much more substantially. Yeah, that's the word I was listening. Thank you. Looking for than Target or Walmart.
Yeah. Yeah, especially during I spoke with Tanya Ali, and she talks about how Southwest Detroit, the part of it is because the community supports their local businesses. There's immigrant population, so there's a deeper connection with everybody here, and especially during the recession in Detroit, the numbers, most of the economic powerhouse, it was all coming from here, and that says something about resiliency and just the fact that you've got a good, groundwork for a functional community. Like, people can go from their block and there's a main street, and there's stuff that they can get. You don't have to go really far to get your groceries or anything, and you can also, you got your community centers, you got some schools and stuff too.
It's forever been different. One of the reasons America was called a grand experiment was because some of the things that they were attempting to do had never been done effectively in history. And when we talk about federations, we talk about large monolithic structures that control other small entities. We're talking about kingdoms and empires. And so the United States is an empire, okay? And if you pattern and you understand it like the Roman Empire, one of the problems that the Romans had was maintaining power throughout all the provinces. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is that it's historically been difficult to keep large entities like the United States together. So if you want effective governance, it does break down into smaller local governance. You know what I'm saying? And I think that when you understand this might be, you go back to the Civil War even, that's one of the things that they were arguing about, was that they didn't want a federalized state. And this is the Confederacy. I'm probably, arguing for the wrong side here now, but the Confederacy didn't want to be in a federalized state. They wanted to maintain autonomy of their regions. They wanted to be loose states working together in times of peril, in times of turmoil, in times of war. You know what I'm saying? We band together as a large union, but in day-to-day operations, we can run ourselves completely without the grapes and lettuce from California. And that's where we've grown to be we spread ourselves out a little bit too thin to profitize and maximize profits in certain areas, instead of trying to develop infrastructure throughout the United States. Now, that's one of the problems with having such a large empire, is that you can't pay attention to the infrastructure throughout the empire consistently at the rate that it needs. I mean, this is one of the things that the President Obama just merely spoke about, but never really gave any real power to, is that we need massive infrastructure increases throughout the United States. And if you look at Southwest Detroit, if you look at Hamtramck, if you look at Highland Park, those projects are there. Those projects will create jobs. Those projects will create a higher quality of life for the entire region. You know what I'm saying? If Hamtramck is doing better, if Highland Park is doing better, if Southwest Detroit is doing better, then the entire city, by estimation, will do better. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like the coronavirus. But in a beneficial method, this virus can spread. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah, that was pretty sideways, but okay, I get what you're saying. It's not a trickle down effect. It's a some sort of economic
It's almost
contagion.
a domino effect, though. You know, maybe not trickle down, but definitely
Yeah.
make it a domino effect.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
All right, let's get to your next destination.
All right.
Put on pause.
Yeah, you can put